What's up, everybody? This is Ryan with Rogue Ocean Gaming. I'm here with Pez. Pez, say hi.
PezOfDoom here.
And we actually got a special guest here with us today for this video. We have Mark from Bacon Bandit Gaming. Mark, say hi.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So this is kind of a special episode of Rogue Ocean Gaming today. What we've done is we've actually contacted a developer and creator of a game called LetterQuest.
LetterQuest is an adventure word game with a touch of RPG elements added to it, giving it a unique feel and making it stand out from your typical word games. The story follows the character of Grimm, a reaper in search of, well, pizza, and the nefarious forces that wish to stop him from finding pizza. Gameplay consists of attacking monsters by spelling words, with damage being determined by the length of the word and the quality of the letters used. Letters are assigned damage values similar to other word games. Common letters are going to be copper, uncommon silver, and rare are gold. Copper being the lowest damage point value and gold being the highest. You'll see the little dots by each letter that'll tell you what they are. Letters can have both beneficial or detrimental properties for gameplay, such as giving you a damage boost or poisoning you as you use them. The further you progress into the game, the more challenging the spelling becomes. Some monsters will have special abilities, including requirements to cause damage, or affecting properties on the letters that you have on the board. Defeating monsters, completing stages, and bonus levels will earn you crystals, the currency in the game that will allow you to purchase and upgrade abilities and gear for Grimm. Abilities will help give you a boost when you're having problems in certain stages and against certain monsters. You're also going to be able to unlock a secondary playable character named Rose, who is a cheerful red reaper, very cute, very little, and you can also change the look of the letters tiles. For those of you who are word savants, you may not find the initial gameplay challenging as you would like. After beating the game once, you unlock a special Game Plus mode that was designed specifically to challenge even the most savvy of spellers. I wish you guys luck with that. I couldn't even beat the first level on Game Plus.
So we're going to open up the floor to some questions. And if he has any questions for us, hopefully he'll ask us. I don't think he will, but let's go ahead and start with the questions. All right, Mark, so I got to ask you, when you make a game and you had the whole floor open, you got all these different types of games coming out, you chose a word game, a puzzle game kind of that also involves some fighting and action in it based on the words that you put in the game. How do you get from the point where you say I want to make a game to the point where you want to say I want to make a letter game? Like, is there some English involved with that? Do you have a background with that? Or how do you get to the point where you make a game where there's got to be words spelled involved with it?
Well, when it started out, it was our first game as a company, and we wanted something really small. We were like, okay, let's make something really simple. Let's make just a tiny little game that we can crank out in, 2-3 months and get it out there. And so we came up with a couple of ideas, and one of them was just, what if we made a little simple turn-based game? So whatever you were doing something to attack. And we thought it'd be kind of fun if we did that with just spelling words. I'm a big Scrabble fan and played lots growing up with my family and stuff, so we thought, you know what, let's try that out. And we had a lot of different ideas at first with that, where it was in real time. It was, there was a lot of back and forth with enemies, so they would have these different abilities and stuff really quickly. But it was super stressful, and people were not terribly happy playing that, and neither were we as developers. So we kind of changed things up a little bit and made it closer to the turn-based stuff that you see now. But of course, as you can tell, if you play the game, it spiraled out of control like a lot of people's first projects do, and turned into this completely other, different game than we really started with all this other stuff added to it. So to answer your question a little bit, quicker, we really just wanted something that was fun and short to make, and something we could turn out quickly. And I think in that regard, we didn't really do that. We ended up with something a lot bigger, but yeah, so it was just, hey, let's make something with spelling, and how can we make that work? And
sure.
This is what we ended up with.
Sure. Now, can I ask you one question to add on to that one?
Sure.
So you guys made this game. Now, how do you add the words that are PC friendly? How do you add the words that are, obviously, as we talked before, you can't put in, verbal cuss words, that kind of thing. Did you guys use like a dictionary, or how did you guys import that in?
Yeah, there's a dictionary that's in the game. It's actually taken from a lot of different sources. Most of the online sources for the words and stuff for dictionaries, they're not free. so you'd end up having to pay for those or pay to have access to those, and obviously we didn't have any money for that in the budget. So what we did was found all the different sources we could that were free, and so the word list actually comes from about 6 different sources, and I've written some custom stuff to put those together and take the best, the most words from the different places and stuff and end up with a really large dictionary. We actually have a dictionary in the game that's larger than the Oxford English Dictionary by about 20,000 words, and most of those are things that are either some British words that we've added in or some different words that are just in there for fun, like we've got, some little Easter egg ones that are character names from Game of Thrones, that kind of thing.
And we've also both experienced what happens when you put bacon in as a word, so appreciate that. Now, one last thing I want to say, as you guys are watching this video, because we obviously have some gameplay going in the background, over to the left, kind of down towards the middle, you'll see when you put a word in, it actually gives you the definition of the word, which I think is really cool. I didn't notice that until later on in the gameplay. There's actually, like, when you put a word in, if somebody says, no, that's not a word, there's actually a definition over to the left, which I think is awesome.
I was just going to say, we put the definitions in there so that, a lot of people were playing this game and didn't have terribly strong English skills, and they were like, oh, we really want to play this game, it looks really cool and stuff, but my English isn't that good. And we found that the more they played it, they were starting to pick up on what the words were when we put the definitions in there. So they're like, oh, hey, I know what that is. But it's also led to a little bit of complication on our side, because you want to make sure that the definitions are not only safe for people to read and for kids to read and stuff, but also that they're fairly accurate, which is hard with that many words, because you don't want somebody that's just learning English learning the wrong definition of a word and then, going out and saying that to someone. So we have to be a little bit careful what we pull in there.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
Mark, we've seen a lot of different characters being used in word games before, but I think this is the first time I've seen the Grim Reaper in a word game. What was your inspiration for using Grimm in there, and Rose too?
Well, when we started out, we weren't sure who we wanted as a main character, and then we just thought about it for a little while, and the idea of having a Grim Reaper came up, but we wanted to make sure that the game was friendly for kids, and so it was a little bit tricky. We had to play around with a few different art styles to get like the really cutesy thing, because we wanted to keep that Grim Reaper. I don't know why that even ever came up. It was just, hey, this would be kind of cool because it's such a different theme for a spelling game. And then we just took a lot of time and a lot of iterations and said, hey, let's make this the cutest little, most appealing character we can, and that's where Grimm came from. Rose came up because we looked at Grimm and said, okay, well, if that's the male version of a character, we wanted to have a female character, but we didn't want to just do something, the traditional kind of like, oh, she's all in pink and whatever, like the very stereotypical thing. So we went with something a little bit different. She's still kind of cutesy, a little bit smaller than Grimm and stuff like that, but we tried to make, again, a very universally appealing character.
So, Mark, I've been playing this game, and I also see sometimes when you get into a certain challenge or you defeat a couple monsters, all of a sudden you get thrown in front of a treasure chest. Now, this treasure chest, you have an opportunity to accept it or decline it, and it's based on kind of a Wheel of Fortune kind of deal. How did you guys come up with that?
Well, the more we played the game, at first it was just monsters. So it was you versus monster, very turn-based, and we're playing it and going, okay, we want something in here to mix that up a little bit, right? So the idea we had was, we looked at a lot of different word games. We looked at a lot of different word games that we used to play even when we were kids. And then think back to playing Hangman. I think just about everybody that grew up played that with a little notebook or with their friends or with chalk or something like that. And so we thought, what, that's fun. It's something we can throw in very quickly. It's something that most players are very quick to pick up and understand. They see all the letters and they're going to start clicking them. That's just a natural reaction that they have. And it was a way for us to offer cool little rewards and treasures for them and stuff, because we didn't want to just have, oh, here's a treasure chest and, choose a random treasure. We wanted people to feel like they earned that. And it's actually been one of the better features that we added, because just about anybody that makes a video, if they're having trouble guessing that word, almost everybody watching has a comment, or, we've seen in lots of Twitch streams and stuff where somebody will be doing that and people are saying, they're typing frantically in the word saying, hey, this is what it is, and then, if the person gets it wrong, they're all like, oh, come on, man, what are you doing? And so it's been kind of an interesting thing to see people's reaction to that, and that they really enjoy it. It's such a simple thing, but yet, it's a lot of fun, I think, for people.
So, I need to ask a question about the words that I've been getting in the Wheel of Fortune challenge, if you want to call it that, have been a little bit more difficult than regular words. Do you guys have like a pool of words that you pull from on that, or is it just random?
Yeah, there's a pool of ones we came up with. There's a few in there that are really tricky, like that, don't actually have very many vowels, for example, or that are intentionally difficult so that they have some of the more complex letters that you wouldn't normally guess, right? Because everybody with Wheel of Fortune, it's like RST, LNE, the common ones that people choose. And so we've picked a few of those to be really difficult. We tried to go with a little bit longer words, closer to like 10 letters, which is the limit. And so there is just a pool of those. I think there's about 4,500 of them right now.
Who was the guy who picked Iridium?
That'd be me.
Uh-huh. Got words for you.
Yeah, that one's a tricky one.
Mark, I also have to say that I'm kind of a little bit upset with you that you've built a video game that my mom can beat me at. I have to say I'm upset. I'm a grown man. I have a college degree, and my mom beats me at letter quest. Sometimes I call her in. She doesn't live with me, but she's here, and I play the game. I call her in and say, Mom, what is this word? And I gotta say, man, I'm not happy with the result. But it's a lot of fun playing with family, though.
It is, and actually my mom's done the same thing. Letterquest is pretty much the only game she's ever played, and she's gone through the whole thing. I believe she's working her way through the expert mode right now, and so she actually does really well at it, and I'm pretty much convinced at this point that she's better than I am as well.
Well, and that's what I like about the game, too, is you don't have to be the stereotypical 15 to 27-year-old person to play this. Little kids can play this, they can do good at it. Elderly can play it, they can be good at it. It's got some fun elements to it. It's not dark enough, with the Grim Reaper thing, it's not dark enough to the point where people can say I'm offended by playing this. It's just it's a fun word game. It's the most fun I've had with a word game.
Nice, I appreciate that, thank you.
Not a problem. So Pez, let's go ahead with the next question from you.
Sure. Additionally, Letterquest is not just for the PC. It was originally out first for mobile gaming. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then when you've added it to PC now, you've added in more quests, more version, like more, I guess, game of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of changes we made for the desktop version, which is on PC and Mac. So we actually spent close to just about 4 months actually working on the PC version. So it's a little interesting because at the beginning of the project, it was very much a mobile game. But when we were developing it, I'm developing it on a PC, and so I'm always playing with a mouse, I'm always playing with a keyboard. I've got my cheat keys, I've got different things set up. And so right from the beginning, we were going, hey, this is going to make a really great PC game someday. We just need to put in the time, because there's a big difference between mobile games and PC, and we definitely didn't want to fall into that trap of, people classifying it as a mobile port, where it's just a quick and dirty bundle it up and here it is on PC, it's the same game. So right now, actually, there's a lot of difference between the two. We actually have different background art for all the different areas in the game, a slightly different map with, different areas and stuff like that in the desktop version. There's different background music tracks for all the different places. Like, we've added a ton of stuff, and eventually we'd like to bring all that to the mobile version. We're just kind of working on the best way to do that right now.
So is it more difficult to support the mobile version or the PC version?
They're kind of both have their own challenges, but the PC version is fun and unique in the way that a lot of people have different PCs that perform differently. And even though this game isn't really pushing any limits there, it's still interesting trying to get everything working on, different graphics cards, different resolutions, that kind of stuff. We've had a few different people, email us with support issues and saying, hey, my graphics card doesn't do this or that. And I'm sure any developer that's had to work with any kind of PC gaming will tell you the same story, where it's like 99% of it is really good and it's fairly easy, and then there's these outliers with different hardware and different things and stuff that you have to try and figure out, and that can certainly be a headache. But so far we've had really good fans that are willing to work with us and kind of go back and forth and get that stuff figured out, and I don't think we have any outstanding issues right now that haven't been solved, so that's pretty cool.
One of the things I'd like to actually point out for our viewers is that this game is not currently on Steam yet. It's in Steam Greenlight right now, so link will be at the bottom of the video here. Please click on it. Definitely upvote it, because I don't know why this isn't on Steam yet. You guys as developers have been really on top of it with your problems too. I was just glancing through the forum and I saw that anytime someone posted a problem, Mark, you were right there, almost like the next reply to see what was going on and how to fix it.
Yeah, that's something we take really seriously and wanted to do as a company, was be there for people to talk to and stuff. And it's a little tricky because you got to be careful. A lot of people say don't read the comments, that kind of thing, as a developer, because there's a lot of negativity that will creep into those, and a lot of people will say negative things, just being trolls as they are. But I wanted to take it upon myself to definitely be out there, and if there is any support issues and stuff like that, I want to be there for people to actually get those answers that they need. And the really neat part that's happened over time is that now we have a lot of people that I've helped over the months, since the game's been out, and now they're kind of going to bat for us, so to speak. So when somebody has an issue or some kind of grievance or something, a lot of the fans will actually answer that for me, which is really, really awesome.
Speaking of really good things about the game as far as like help goes and asking about stuff, the help button when you guys hit it is really awesome for what it does. Look, when we would do it in the video just down here, everything becomes a question mark. Now if you don't know what anything is, you can just click on it and it tells you.
Well, it actually came up because we've played a lot of mobile games. We did a lot of research of mobile games as well, and the thing that we hate the most of them is when they have this really long, hold you by the hand guided tutorial. Because I don't know about you guys, but whenever I play through one of those, I never remember what they told me by the end of it, because I'm just literally clicking on what the arrows are pointing to, and I'm not paying attention to what's going on. And maybe that's me failing as a player, but I think that a lot of people probably have the same issue. So one of the things we wanted to do was say, well, how can we break out of that? How can we still explain the game and make it so that people always know what's going on, but not have to hold their hand and say like, hey, look at this right here, look at this thing. And we do that a little bit with the really important pieces, but we spent a lot of time going back and forth on how to handle that, and finally came up with a system where it's like, well, why don't we just have a dynamic help system where at any point in time you can say, here's everything on the screen you could possibly want any help with. And right away when we put it in there and had people play testing, they loved it. They're like, this is great, I don't have to worry about, oh, I missed that tutorial, or I dismissed it by accident, or that kind of thing. And it's gone over really, really well.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up a grievance I have with the game, and it's the only one I can find, Mark.
Sure.
I am 100% colorblind, and I don't expect anyone to cater a game for me. I don't expect anybody to build something different for me. I cannot tell the difference between bronze and gold letters. Do you have any future plans to build, not necessarily a colorblind mode, but possibly make the gold more gold and the bronze more bronze?
Actually, yeah, that's a really good point, because I'm familiar with all the colorblind issues in games. I've read up quite a bit on that. I've seen a few other games that have added extra support for that. And you know what? I never really thought about it with this one, with the bronze and the gold there. That's actually something we can change pretty easily. I'd be willing to do something like maybe the bronze one is just a circle. The silver one can probably still be a circle, because you can tell those two apart, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And Mark, it's very rare for someone to be 100% colorblind, and I'm one in 1,000 people that's that colorblind. But when I see gold and bronze, they're almost identical to each other, and it's not a huge thing for a lot of people. But for people like me that are colorblind, when a person caters to that and says, "Hey, you got a colorblind mode. If you see this next to it, that's the gold color. If you see this next to it, it's the bronze color." It really honestly stands out for a colorblind person more than you know.
Yeah, I think, and you know what, that's actually pretty easy to change in the game in this one. So, it could be something as simple as we change it from being bronze, silver, gold to like 1 little star, 2 little stars, or 3, or some little thing like that, or a different shape or something as well.
Sure.
All right, jumping back to the interface and the game and everything, on the right-hand side, you guys will see that there's actually the name of the monster, and if you click on the monster, it'll also give you a description. Some of these are pretty awesome. My favorite so far is definitely Steve Dave.
Yeah, and that one's in there for the Kevin Smith fans, so anybody that gets the reference will enjoy that. And we wanted to put in lots of little in-jokes like that. The whole game is very tongue-in-cheek. We didn't want to go with a serious vibe or anything, so we just threw in little quirky things everywhere we could.
Do you have a favorite monster?
I think mine is probably one of the first ones you see, and it's the little orphan granny, which was not a planned monster we had at all. That was actually Jake, our artist, that was looking at different variations of that character and that ghost that he could do, and just came up with one that looked like a granny, with little like knitting needles in her hair, and looking very granny-like, and Little Orphan Granny just being a play on Little Orphan Annie. And I came up with that just out of nowhere, and it kind of stuck. It was just a funny name during development. We were like, okay, there's a comical little name, just whatever. for dev and stuff like that. And then the more we looked at it and everything, people saw it and they were like, that's really funny, let's leave it in there. So it stuck.
For our viewers, if you head to the LetterQuest website, which is letterquestgame.com, even though you can't get it on Steam yet, and I say yet because I hope that everyone will go there and upvote it, if you head over to their website, you can purchase a copy of the game. It is $4.99 right now, and you can use PayPal or Amazon payments to check out for it. With the game for PC version, you get a few extra bonuses, including the soundtrack, wallpapers, custom avatars, a Steam key when it comes out on Steam, and of course, gratitude and support. But here's the cool thing, guys. If you scroll down further through the page, you'll see at the bottom there they have a special super supporter edition. So for $50, not only will you get the game, but you'll also get an in-game supporter panel accessible from the title screen, which I'll show you here. There's a few supporters in here right now. And you'll get to choose a custom word and a definition for that word, keep it clean, in the game's dictionary itself.
Wait. I can make the word corn dog and make my own definition, or is that already a word?
That one might already be a word, but if it's not, then yes, you can certainly do that.
Then I tell you what, I feel Rogue Ocean Gaming is going to make a contribution to this game. We're going to have our own custom word in there.
Well, I think there might be two, because I do believe there's going to be another one whose definition will be Ryan can't play Kerbal.
That's way too long. He already said there's a 10-letter maximum, so that doesn't matter.
No, definition. Don't worry about the word. I've got it.
But no, Pez's mom is under 10 words, so yeah. I think that's going to be fair.
Well, we'll see about that. It looks like you're about to get $250.
So,
but
all right.
No, the Super Edition is really awesome, and it's a great way to do like certain thank yous or hellos to friends or whatnot. We do recommend it. You could even propose to someone with this. I mean, you could put in someone's name if you wanted to, I assume. Is that correct, Mark?
Yeah, you could. You can. A couple people have done that with names already.
See? Hidden names in the game. Try to find them.
Wait, Mark, people have proposed on this game before?
No, they put a name as the word. Unfortunately, no one has proposed through the game. That would be pretty cool, though, if someone did. So if you're out there and anybody wants to do that, we support you, and we could probably even do something really cool for you if you ask.
Yeah, I imagine the first proposal on LetterQuest would get a pretty solid deal.
One of the other things we want to talk about here is a little bit about your company, Bacon Bandits. And kind of, first off, the name sounds delicious. Every time I hear it, I think to myself, bacon.
Well, that was actually largely Jake. We're both Canadian, and we were looking for a company name when we were starting things up, and I was kind of drawing a blank. I had a bunch of name ideas, and they were awful, and we both knew they were. I'd pitch one to Jake and, either get silence back or just yeah, I don't really think so. And so we went back and forth a long time, and we just decided, well, what is our company, like what do we want to be known for and everything, and we both grew up in Canada. Bacon's a huge part of a good Canadian diet, it seems, at least back in the 80s when we grew up. And so he came up with the idea of a little character at first that was going to be called like Bacon Bit or Bacon Bob, and unfortunately you can't use anything related to Bacon Bit or Bacon Bits because I think there's a copyright on that, so you have to be careful there. But anyway, he ended up drawing this like little strip of bacon and threw a little toque on it, like the very Canadian, just normal toque. And we were looking at it, and just one day he kind of said, you know what, he kind of looks a little bit like a bandit or like somebody that's going to rob a bank or something like that. And Bacon Bandits came up, and it's stuck ever since.
Mark, I have to tell you a little bit of insight with us. We're Rogue Ocean Gaming, which is kind of funny because you're Bacon Bandit, which Bandit and Rogue are almost the same thing. We picked Rogue because we thought it was cool, and then Ocean because of the ocean of games and all that kind of thing. So we understand, and trust me, drew back a bunch of names before we finally found one that we were both like, yeah, we can work with that. So I understand the struggle when you say, hey, how's this sound? And you get no response.
Yeah, it's really difficult to choose a name. Like when you have a good one, people are just like, oh, that's cool, yeah, thumbs up. But the process to get there it takes a while. Yeah,
it's not a one and done process, so.
No.
And speaking of a name. We noticed that in your FAQ it talks about how LetterQuest had a previous name that had been changed, and I know you can't go into details on that for obvious reasons, but do you have any tips for other indie companies or other companies in general of when picking a name for a product, one of the things they should probably be doing?
Yeah, the most important one, and it doesn't even require a lawyer, is actually just go on the U.S. trademark search website, and you can just search for that in Google and you'll find it. And you can actually do your own trademark lookups. So you put in the different words that you're looking for and it'll tell you if there's any existing trademarks with that. The biggest thing you want to look for is somebody that has a very similar name to yours and that's also credited to either entertainment or games industries. And if they are, then you want to be very careful with that and probably choose a different name. And if you're very, very set on a name and you're feeling like your game is potentially going to go anywhere, it's probably worth putting in the money to apply for a trademark. It ends up costing about $2,500 for a US trademark to apply for that. At least that's what it costs being from Canada. And there's different trademarks for every country in the world, but the only one that really seems to matter these days is for the United States, because as long as you have that one, I guess it kind of sets a precedent, or at least that's what my lawyer has told me, where in the other countries it will be easier to get a trademark if you had to, and you usually don't have to worry about it because the main market for a lot of things in the world for gaming and stuff kind of comes back to the US, and that's what a lot of different companies and legal things look at. So that would be the most important piece. Go do a quick trademark search. Doing a Google search for a name and everything these days isn't really good enough. It matters on the legal side as well. So yeah, do a trademark search. Basically just do your homework, spend a little bit of time on that and make sure that you're going to be okay before you move ahead with anything or announce anything.
So when you make a game like this, and the end product, like I said, we've played it, it's a lot of fun. What is next for this game? Is this game done? Or is there going to be DLC? Is there going to be, new areas to expand on? Are you looking at doing anything with it? Or is it pretty much, is this the final product?
Well, the way it is on the desktop right now, we're pretty happy with it. It's kind of a complete experience. It's got its comic story, it's got all that different stuff, it's got a bunch of areas, it has an end right now. That's not to say that we couldn't add on more if we wanted to. The issue for that, honestly, is going to come down to money. I put basically everything I had into making this game. I funded the whole thing myself. And so if it gets on Steam or it does fairly well or anything like that, we'd love to add more to it. But if it doesn't, and it just kind of, if it doesn't perform too well, I guess, and we can't really afford to do that, then we'll probably just be moving on to other titles and stuff like that. So,
Sure.
So like I mentioned a little bit, it will probably also do a big update on the mobile side, where all the features that are in the PC version, like the different areas, the different music and stuff, those will make their way to mobile. We're just trying to find a way to make that happen.
Is there any future plans for like leaderboards or best scores on certain levels? Like where you play the level, you get a really good score, you post it, and then your friends post against it?
Well, in the mobile version, there is leaderboards through Game Center right now on the iOS
Okay.
version. So it's kind of an overall score for all levels. So what it does is it takes your best score that you've ever gotten in each level, it adds them all up, and that becomes your overall score. And so we've had lots of good competition from people through that. So we're hoping that if we get on Steam, obviously we'd love to implement their Steam leaderboards, because that would be the same thing basically.
Sure.
Has it been challenging using Greenlight to get onto Steam? How long have you guys been up on LetterQuest on the Steam Greenlight, by the way? I didn't see that.
Yeah, so we've had kind of an interesting thing with Greenlight. So there's a lot of people that will throw a game on there. It'll get super popular, it'll get a bunch of press, and it's like, 20 days or whatever it gets approved. Or in the case of some like Crawl, I know it was 24 hours, which is awesome, and those guys deserve it for sure because they had the best trailer ever. But we've been on there for, I believe, 6 months now. And so what's happened is that a lot of times people look and go, oh, it's a word game. And a lot of the people that are on Steam that use Greenlight, that go on there and vote for stuff, they're looking for a certain type of game, it seems, a lot of the time. And a word game is not that. And so they look at the screenshots and they just kind of, downvote the game and move on. And that's what happened for a while. And then we actually had somebody, just one of our fans, that had posted a giveaway on a site called Steam Gifts. And so what they did was just put up a copy of a game to give away and just, plug LetterQuest on there and said, hey, you guys should go vote for this. And it actually got us a lot of votes and a lot of attention. And so we've been doing that ever since. We've just been, purchasing some cheap games on Steam and putting them on Steam Gifts. And it's been actually bringing a lot of traffic to the page. and getting people voting without us having to be like, you get a free copy of our game if you vote, because we don't really want to do that. And so yeah, it's just been really challenging trying to find the time to, you know, advertise the game in different places, find the right people to, you know, get going over there. And I think any developer that's been on Greenlight will tell you as well that the hard part is that you have to send people to your Greenlight page, and a lot of people are not logged into Steam in a browser, so they can't vote. And they won't go through the hassle of it. They don't want to log in that way. So you pretty much have to get them right to your Steam page, and then people will vote. So it's a little bit tricky on that side as well. So yeah, it's been a process, and we're certainly hoping we get it approved soon.
Well, what's interesting about LetterQuest as well is that it's not just a word game where all you're doing is typing in words. It's this whole adventure and story as well. So you're taking the best part of being a letter game, or you know, doing something where you might feel a little bit smarter for doing it, and combining that with the whole idea of going out and having an adventure, being able to level up and become more powerful. Suddenly, by the time you're done with this and you've leveled up all your sites and everything, you are not just Grimm, you are Grim Reaper.
Yeah,
but only
and
if you can spell.
Well, and that actually brings up an interesting point, because, you know, we've had good and bad from players on the whole RPG aspect, because what's happened is there's a lot of, we'll call them word game purists, I guess is the best way to describe them, where they don't like the role-playing element in LetterQuest because they feel it breaks the balancing. So for them, they're like, well, then I buy upgrade and the game gets too easy. You know, these are also people that are spelling like 9 and 10 letter words all the time, and I think that's crazy, because that's not me when I play, for sure. Mine's, you know, 3, 4, 5 letters. But so they have a bit of a problem with that. You know, they're like, oh, there's RPG elements and it kind of breaks the balancing, and, you know, it makes it too easy for me. And that's part of the reason why we have an expert mode. But you have the flip side, which is people that are maybe not as strong in English, or certainly people that have English as a second or third or fourth language, and they love the RPG elements because they come in, and that's a way for them to balance the game for themselves. So if they're having a hard time, they're getting stuck a little bit, you know, they can buy a few upgrades, they can try again, and they're finding that they can actually experience the whole game. Whereas a lot of other word games that don't have that sort of thing, they've actually either given up or just walked away or gotten frustrated because they can't compete, because, you know, their English isn't as strong as some other people's.
Yeah, I curse every time I hit a creature that's immune to 3-letter words.
Well, that's the thing I love about this game, is you take the word element, you take the, you know, the word Scrabble element, you take the RPG element, you take so many other things, and this game is not just a word game. There's so much more to it. When you go to the Wheel of Fortune aspect, I keep calling it that. I don't know if you guys have another term for it, but you take that aspect, you take the, you know, the guy you run across that'll sell you a potion because you're about to run into a big boss. Like, there's so much stuff about this game that I absolutely love, and it's, you know, like I said, we're not just saying this because we have Mark on the line. We actually found this game, and we fell in love with it. You guys got to play this game. Watching the video here while we're talking, if you guys haven't bought this game yet, you're nuts. If you've made it this far into the video and haven't bought the game yet, you're nuts.
It does move the genre forward, which is nice. It adds something that we didn't have before to it, which is what, when we were looking on Greenlight Games and I saw this, I was like, this seems to have aspects of things in it that you can't get from other games, and that gives it a unique feel that's very entertaining.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead. We're gonna stop with the questions there. Mark, do you have any closing comments you want to make? Like,
yeah, the biggest one would just be to say a huge thank you to our fan base, who at this point, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, you know, there are people that are out there that are actually commenting for us on different forums. They're, you know, kind of coming to our aid when we need it, or if somebody's on Steam and makes, you know, a nasty comment or says something that's not great, they're actually in there and can answer those things and stuff before I can now. And I really, really appreciate that. It's awesome. You know, we're so busy and we have so much on the go that when people do that, that's a great feeling. It makes up for a lot of, you know, any of the bad things that happen or anything like that comes up, because just knowing that these people are actually taking time out of their day to support you and, you know, to talk to other people on your behalf, to answer questions and do different things like that, that's a really, really awesome feeling. So thank you guys for that.
Alright guys, so once again, this is Ryan and Pez with Rogue Ocean Gaming. We're here with Mark from hang on, let me start that again. Hang on just a sec.
Bandit Bacon.
Bacon Bandit. Yeah, Bandit Bacon sounds like a
Well, it's
thing
their
you'd buy at
nemesis.
Walmart.
They're
Yeah.
like Bizarro version.
No. All right, let me start this again. All right, guys. Once again, this is Ryan and Pez from Rogue Ocean Gaming. We're here with Mark from Bacon Bandit Gaming. Mark took the time out of his day to contact us, talk about his game a little bit. Now, this is strange. If you try and contact any other person that makes a game, they usually say, no, I don't have time for this. He took the time to talk to us. He explained the game, explained the history, explained the creative genius behind LetterQuest. If you guys don't own this game, go out and buy it. Support, I see all these people that say support local businesses, support a local, game inventor. This guy's got creative mind behind him. If you play the game, you're going to see a lot of elements that you don't see in other games. You're going to see a lot of things that just make you go, this is really fun. And there's going to be a time where you say, Mark, why did you make this game so hard? Why is these Wheel of Fortune aspects, why are they so hard to do this? But you're also going to love the game. I am not a smart person. I'm not a person who's good at English, and I have played the game and I've leveled my character. I'm doing great at the game. So if you guys have, like I said, like Pez said, right now it's on his site for $5. It's going to be greenlighted on Steam. I promise you this game will. With all the other crap being greenlighted, this game deserves to be greenlighted. So if you guys can vote for it, support it, buy the game, leave him comments. If you have problems with the game, as you've seen through this interview, let him know. He'll fix the problems as long as they're reasonable. You can't make it like I win every level by hitting L. But if you guys like the game and you like word games, buy this. I promise you, if you have a family, you're going to have fun. So,
Or adventure games.
Or adventure games, yes. I can't explain how awesome this game is. So, Mark, thank you for taking the time out of your day to interview. And so thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And definitely buy LetterQuest. If you don't buy it, you're not a person. You're not a real person. I don't even care. So thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.